I'm Tommie Lee. This is your Scam of the Week with Jan Diaz, the president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau serving Northern Indiana. Jan, how are you?
I'm doing good. Good morning, Tommie. It's great to be here.
Always a pleasure to have you. And this time of year, love is in the air. So let's talk about those romance scams.
Yes, that's right, Tommie. Romance scams have been around for years, but scammers will always try to target individuals who are vulnerable or they might be experiencing a loss. So scammers will prey upon a person's vulnerabilities and use emotional manipulation in an effort to make the other person believe that they can be trusted.
So how do these scams actually work?
Yes, well, a romance scam usually starts when a person joins a dating app and they connect with someone who seems to be absolutely perfect. They're often good looking, and really the person is too good to be true. So when this person unknowingly reaches out to a scammer on a dating app, the scammer seems to be charming, successful, kind, and genuinely interested in the person. Initially, the scammer is trying to quickly build a sense of trust and connection, but before long, the scammer wants to take the conversation off the dating app and switch to text or email, saying it feels more personal. So once the person agrees, the scammer might even delete their dating profile to seem all in on the relationship, but really it's just a way to stay under the radar and avoid getting caught. So everything in the relationship seems to be going great until the scammer starts telling stories about a sick relative, a business in trouble, or even a charity they're supposedly involved with. And then comes the ask. The scammer claims to need their help receiving money and wiring the money overseas. So if the person involved in this romance scam hesitates or refuses to wire funds, the scammer may try to make them feel guilty, become distant, or even threaten to cut off contact if they don't comply. So by this point, the person being scammed is usually so emotionally invested that it's hard for them to think clearly. The scammer has built up their trust so well that believing the lies feels natural. And it's tough for anyone to convince the victim that the relationship is a scam.
So that's a lot of warning signs there, but what's the real story here?
Well, Tommie, it used to be that romance scammers were just out to steal people's money, but now they've stepped up their game by convincing people to move stolen funds for them. In reality, they're tricking people into laundering money on their behalf, which can lead to serious legal trouble. People need to understand that transferring stolen money, even unknowingly, is illegal. A person involved in a romance scam can face charges for money laundering or wire fraud, despite being manipulated into participating.
That is a scary new twist on romance scams. How do people protect themselves, Jan?
So here are a few steps to protect yourself, and there are several ways to spot and avoid these scams. The first one is do your research. Scammers will often use stolen photos on their dating profiles. So you want to check to make sure if a picture is legitimate. Try running a reverse image search on Google to see if the photo has been used elsewhere. And if it has, that's a red flag. Also, try looking up the profile name, email, or phone number, and if something doesn't add up, that's also a red flag. Some other things, ask detailed questions. Scammers often stumble over specifics or fail to make their stories add up. Always press for details. Never send money to someone you haven't met in person. So whether it's wiring funds or buying gift cards or sharing personal information, don't do it. And then be wary of unusual payment requests. Scammers love wire transfers, prepaid debit cards, and payment apps like Venmo or Cash App, because once the money is sent, it's impossible to recover and it's not traceable. And then the best advice is to cut off contact if something feels wrong. If something about a person's story feels a little off, or they start asking for money, trust your gut and cut off all contact with this person.
That's great advice, but what if people have fallen for this and they want to report the scam? If they suspect they're being scammed or they've already been tricked, what's the next step?
Yes, great question. So if anyone has encountered a scam, lost money, or they were asked to receive money and then wire the money, the first thing to do is to contact your local authorities and then report it to BBB Scam Tracker at bbb.org/scam tracker, and also report it to the Federal Trade Commission at reportfraud.ftc.gov. And even if you're embarrassed or didn't lose money, reporting it helps stop these scammers and prevents others from becoming victims.
All right. Thank you so much for shedding some light on these romance scams, which have become a little scarier, a little darker, as scammers find new ways to take you off your money. Jan Diaz from the Better Business Bureau for Northern Indiana. It's always a pleasure, and we will talk again next week on the Scam of the Week.
Sounds great. Thanks, Tommie.
Podcasts by Federated Media.